Welcome to Parleh TV.
Plenty of things look easy at first. Skydiving, lion taming. From the comfort of your armchair, all sorts of risks look easy as
Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Jota, and Bruno Fernandes literally
blew Russia off the park in a clinical display of attacking football.
Wow.
Sorry, what did you say, Kobe?
Wow, bro.
Let's break it down.
I am Pat Mayo, and I'm here to give you the best pick at the top of the board, the best bet, if you will.
So I'm going to go with just under 25 for Middleton here.
Welcome, everybody, to Luca's Daily Show, a solo show of mine where we're going to talk about some of the biggest storylines in sports. This is a first-time show here on the Parleh, and I'm super excited to talk about what's been trending in the last 24 hours or so. We're first going to talk about the Toronto Raptors. This is a Raptors team that has everybody talking right now. I mean, I don't think people expected the Raptors to be in this position with 6 games left. The Raptors, not too long ago, were just fighting to get into the play-in. They go on a remarkable run to begin the new year. And not only are they in a position now where they're clear of the play-in, but they have a chance to get into the top 4. That is absolutely insane, the type of turnaround the Raptors have had. They have been on an incredible run. They have won 10 of 12 games. We know about the success they had out West. They won all 4 games on this current homestand. They extend their lead to 2 over Cleveland for that all-important 6th spot, which means you don't have to play in the play-in, and you are guaranteed a full playoff series. And they are tied with the Bulls currently for 5th. And the Raptors are just 2.5 games back of 4th place. And it's not ludicrous to think they could snag that because they still do have a matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers. And what's the most impressive part about the Raptors right now is that they are finally healthy. That is something that has not been said all season long, whether it was guys being out due to COVID, whether it was, just things not going their way. The Raptors had not had a full rotation of players, and here they are. Van Vliet's getting his win back. OG's back out there doing his thing. Ken Birch returned in a win over the Timberwolves. The Raptors are starting to show off that they can beat you in many different ways. And last night was really special to me because they beat down a Timberwolves team that has been one of the better teams in all of the NBA since the new year. That says a lot about how good the Raptors are. The Timberwolves have been no joke. They have some signature wins, and the Raptors contained them from the second quarter and on. And they neutralized its best player in Karl Anthony Towns, who was averaging 24 points coming into the game, and I think he only finished with 16. That's what the Raptors do. They neutralize your stars. They did that in a huge win against the 76ers a couple of weeks ago in Philly, and they break you down defensively, leading to their offense. And their offense has been clicking. And it all starts with Pascal Siakam, who has been playing like an all-NBA player. He's been putting up great stat lines. He's coming off of a triple-double performance. He has been the heart and soul of this team. And I was one of the biggest skeptics of Pascal Siakam going into the season. And I apologize for underestimating him or doubting him. But he is putting this team on his back. And I know he's going to have to answer the call in the playoffs to fully quiet the naysayers. But he has found his old form. And it's really great to see. Another guy I want to shine some light on, Precious Achiuwa. Precious Achiuwa has been shooting the basketball extremely well. He was 4 of 7 last night from beyond the arc. A lot of people were quick to dismiss Achiuwa. But now those same people who are dismissing him are coming back and saying the Raptors won that deal for Kyle Lowry. Precious Achiuwa spaces the floor brilliantly. He hits shots. And it was his production and Thad Young's production, which really turned that game around for the Raptors in the second quarter en route to the Raptors winning throw. And it was crazy because a lot of people were looking at that like, wow, they benched Scotty Barnes and they brought Achiuwa to start the second half. But Nick Nurse said afterwards, it was actually Scotty Barnes who recommended that change. So that just shows you how close of a group this is. And players on this team are not selfish. They are willing to go with the hot hand. They are willing to defer to guys who are playing better than them at that time. So the Toronto Raptors with another signature win. They beat the Timberwolves. And this is a team that's starting to look like a team that can make some noise in the postseason. And you look at the postseason picture right now, it doesn't matter if the Raptors go up against the Heat, the Celtics, the 76ers, the Bulls. You look at the top 5 teams in the East right now. The Raptors will not be afraid to go up against any one of those teams. If anything, those teams would be afraid of going up against the Raptors, who have shown all season long that they can beat some of the best teams in the league. And they have owned some of those teams that I mentioned. 3-0 against the Bucks this season, 2-1 against Miami, 2-1 against Philadelphia. And what the biggest storyline could end up being is who's eligible for those games. Because one team that I definitely would not want to see in the first round is a date against the Boston Celtics. But rumors are swirling that the reason why Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown didn't play in Monday's game in Toronto was because they might not be vaccinated. And it's been reported that the Celtics and the Sixers have not commented on their vaccination status, which means those two teams can miss some key players if playoff games go down in Toronto, which they will. So from a talent perspective, from what they've shown us all season, with the vaccine now coming into play, the Raptors have a lot of reasons for them possibly making noise and, dare I say it, make a run in an Eastern Conference, which right now looks very wide open. And the last thing I'll say about the Raptors before we move on here, ESPN ranked the Raptors 20th overall at the start of the season, not thinking they would be much of a threat in the East. And here they are, tied for 5th, and have a chance to move on up as they close out the season with just 6 games left. That's the Raptors for you. They just prove you wrong when you think they have nothing left. Speaking of teams nobody wants to see in the playoffs, I truly believe a Western Conference playoff dark horse are the Dallas Mavericks, who right now are plus 3,300 to win the NBA title. I actually think that's very lenient. $100 would give you $3,300. And for those naysayers who are saying, calm down, Luca, the Mavs still have to win a playoff series with Luka Doncic, this might be the season to do it. The Mavericks are tied for 3rd. And if the season ended today, they would have the tiebreaker over the Warriors. And this Mavs team, this version of the Mavs, they just feel different. You look at reasons why they could go on an improbable run, it starts with Luka Doncic. He has inserted himself back in the MVP conversation. He's probably not going to win it just because of what Jokic and Embiid have done all season long. But this is a guy who's playing his best basketball at just the right time. When you have a superstar like Doncic, you're always in a series. Doesn't matter who you go up against. He's playing magnificently. He's getting his teammates involved. And speaking of his teammates, the floor spacing on Dallas has been a thing of beauty. A lot of people thought they lost that trade when they traded away Porzingis. They have proven otherwise. Spencer Dinwiddie, he has been a breath of fresh air for this Mavs team. He is stepping up as that true sidekick to Luka. And he, along with other guys like Kleba, Hardaway Jr., Finney Smith, they are making shots when they need to. This is a supporting cast that needs to show up come playoff time, and I trust they will. And if the supporting cast does show up and Luka does his thing with home court advantage in their back pocket, I can't see why the Mavericks can't at least get to the second round. And then they'll have a chance against any Western Conference team that they go up against in that second round. And the last thing I want to pinpoint here about why the Mavs could be a really good bet. Stellar defense. They have had a top-tier defense, which has been one of the best in the NBA since the start of the new year. And it's crazy because people thought with Porzingis out of the lineup, it would diminish their rim protecting ability. But with Powell and Kleba as now being utilized as the only bigs by Jason Kidd, their ability to switch defensively is propelling them to these nip and tuck victories this season. And it was on display when they beat the Celtics in Boston, limiting Jason Tatum down the stretch. Jason Kidd has done a phenomenal job. This Mavs team is getting hot at the right time. And don't be surprised if they make a run in the Western Conference. That is a bet worth making if you're looking for some long shot bets in the West. Now, a long shot bet that I'll be making, the Los Angeles Clippers, plus 5,000 to win the NBA title. Now, before you think that's crazy, hear me out. The Clippers are in 7th right now. And yes, they got to get out of the play-in, but they just got Paul George back. And Paul George had 34 points in his return in a comeback win over a higher-seeded Jazz team. And here's where it gets really interesting. Norman Powell is expected to be back in 7 to 10 days. And Kawhi Leonard, he's had surgery on his partially torn ACL, and he's been out. But rumors have been going wild that Leonard could be back if the Clippers get out of the first round. He had an extensive shooting drill just 3 weeks ago against the Warriors. But could you imagine the Clippers with Paul George, with Powell coming back in 10 days? They get out of the play-in, they actually win the first round, and then all of a sudden you're adding one of the best players in all of basketball, and Kawhi Leonard, a guy who did what he did in 2019 with the Raptors. I would be very confident in that position, which is why I did put $100 on this bet, which is why if this somehow happens, I'm $5,000 richer. Don't sleep on the Los Angeles Clippers. Curry is out. The Warriors are not looking the same. The Grizzlies, for as good as they are inexperienced. They have never been in the moments that they're about to go into with this current team. And of course, you have the Phoenix Suns, the almighty. But don't forget, without Kawhi, the Clippers were 2 wins away from beating that same Suns team to get to the NBA Finals. Without Kawhi. If Kawhi somehow comes back healthy and he's ready to go, the Clippers are my team to beat in the Western Conference. There's a lot of ifs, which is why the odds are what they are. But that's a bet worth making, in my opinion. Because you never know with Kawhi. The guy says nothing, and when you least expect it, he comes up big. And he is still one of the best players in the NBA, like I mentioned, and one of the best pure playoff performers. So don't sleep on the Clippers. I know I'm not. Okay, let's talk about some basketball tonight. We got a big game in the Eastern Conference. And we got the Nets at home, 2-point favorites against the Milwaukee Bucks. This game, to me, is a huge game for the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving, he's going to be playing tonight. For the first time, with the new vaccine rules, Kyrie will be playing in Brooklyn. The mandate has been uplifted. Kyrie will be out there with KD. And the last time these two teams met, it was just the Kyrie show on the road in Milwaukee as the Nets beat the Bucks. Now they have KD. The Nets can prove something tonight, and that something is they are still the team to beat in the East. And I know it's crazy to say because they're the 8th seed. And just to put it in perspective, no 7th or 8th seed has ever won an NBA title. You got the Brooklyn Nets as the 8th seed and a team in the Clippers that I just touched on as the 7th seed in the West. That would be polarizing championship threats if they get hot at the right time with key guys coming back. The Brooklyn Nets, I think they're going to go out and win this game tonight because you look at the Nets, they do something better than any other team. They have stars that come up in big moments. And just take an earlier game this season when the Nets took on Philadelphia in Philly. It was the first game that pinned Harden against his former team. And what happened? KD went off. And I expect them to do the same tonight. Because the Bucks, they are the defending champs, but they have shown their vulnerabilities. And they are playing their best basketball of the season at this point. So if the Nets can beat this version of the Bucks going into the playoffs, that's going to be an 8th seed nobody wants to see in the first round. And by the way, this could be a first-round playoff series depending on how these final 6 games go down. So I'm looking forward to tonight's game. I'm a betting man. I'm taking the Nets tonight -2. I think they show up. I think Kyrie's going to be amped that he gets to play at home. KD's going to do KD things. It's going to be tough because the Bucks are no joke. But this is a game where the Nets prove that they are still a formidable force in the Eastern Conference, which, like I said, is wide open. So I'm taking the Nets tonight. Give me the Nets -2. I was actually surprised that they were the slight favorite, but then I looked and saw that they are at home. And Kyrie is eligible to play. So good on Kyrie. All right. Yeah, we're going to get into some hockey talk now. So the Maple Leafs, this is a team that they need to get hot to close out the season. This is a team that nobody really cares about the regular season anymore. I know I don't. Everybody's focused on the postseason. And right now, if you look at the playoff picture, the Leafs would be taking on the Lightning in the first round. No Leafs fan would feel confident about going up against the two-time Stanley Cup champs. I know I wouldn't. But in terms of their game tonight, let's look at it. They're taking on the Jets. The Jets are in the playoff hunt, and they trail Dallas by 1 point. I think the Leafs take tonight's game, and which is why I'm actually going to take the Leafs minus 1.5 on the puck line. I do expect to see Toronto generate a lot of high-scoring opportunities, and it will be tough going up against Hellebuck. He's been tremendous for the Jets, and this is going to be a hungry Jets team trying to win to get into the playoffs. But I just think Toronto has too much firepower to overcome. So I'm going to take the Leafs minus 1.5. It's plus 134. Sorry, plus 135. I think that's great value on the puck line. I like the Leafs tonight. I think they get it done, but it's going to be tough against a Jets team that, like I said, they need to win as their playoff hopes are still on the line. So I like Leafs over the Jets. I think they get it done. And hopefully they get out of that playoff matchup against the Lightning. But it's going to be tough because right now, I mean, there's a lot of good teams in the East. There's not going to be too many favorable first-round matchups that present themselves to the Maple Leafs. So we're all going to be holding our breath for that first-round playoff series once again with the Maple Leafs involved. All right, let's get into my bet of the night to close out this show. Luca's Daily Show, first ever installment. Hope you guys have liked it. My bet of the night, it's not going to be the Leafs. It's not going to be the Nets. I gave you some extra picks there. My bet of the night, Pistons plus 9.5 against the Sixers? What? I'm going with the Pistons. Dwayne Casey's got his Pistons playing spoiler at just the right time. This is a Pistons team you got to put some respect on. This is a Pistons team that is going to be much better next season. And I just don't trust the 76ers as a big home favorite. You look at the Pistons, 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 games versus teams with a winning record. Crazy. How can you bet against that stat? Sixers are 4-7 against the spread as a plus 10-point favorite. Pistons are 12-7 when they're underdogs by 10 to 12 points. Send this one to the bank. Give me Dwayne Casey, the Pistons, and the points. That is my bet of the night. Too many points for me. Pistons plus 9.5. Would not be surprised if they have a chance to win this game. You heard it right here. And that will conclude today's Daily Show. We hope you enjoyed it. This is a Parlays First, and we'll be at it every day, Monday through Friday, live at 3 p.m. Eastern. You can send in questions. You can send in your best bet of the night. And yeah, we'll see if my best bet hits tonight, as I feel pretty confident about all the bets that I gave to you. This has been Luca's Daily Show here on the Parleh. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you all again tomorrow. We'll find out just who's in Canada's group as they make their first ever World Cup.